Good morning, it's me, Maria. I'm back with another video. It's Saturday morning, and I am actually laying in bed, um, thinking about getting the day started. So I was thinking today about, abuse and abusive situations and this social abuse, as well as, one-on-one abuse. And there's so many different terms that I've, made up, but just to kind of explain, my situation, it's like, as you can see, my family manipulating my employment, and causing trouble and stirring up issues is a form of abuse, okay? They've never really fully respected the person that I am. And oftentimes when people have a child that's different in personality, whether that be relating to intelligence, or sometimes kids have disabilities or whatever, which I don't have a disability. But my point is that oftentimes parents or the siblings are constantly battling and badgering that person, because it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess I could use the word culling, or like some animals cull their litter, or they destroy the one that they don't feel like belongs. In some ways, their human behavior is much like that of an animal. I hope I'm using the right terminology, but and that's what they do. They pick and peck and destroy that person, from the inside out. And they, in some ways, in their mind, they might be thinking, well, she needs that, because she needs to act right. The thing is that this person, myself and other people, were born the way that they were for a reason. This is who we are, and you try to change us, and it doesn't work, okay? It doesn't. And oftentimes, for example, a lot of teenage suicides are a result of that, because the parent just doesn't understand why the kid, behaves the way they do. And, I looking back, on my childhood and my early adult years, just looking at my sister Lisa, the way she would pick at me. And I was reading, actually, I wasn't reading, I was actually watching a YouTube video yesterday about, and it was one of those silent YouTube videos where, you have to read the screen, and it was kind of irritating because I was trying to get stuff done, but I could kind of glance up and take a look at while I was doing my stuff. But it was basically saying, signs of, abuse, and when you're different, some of the reasons why they feel justified in doing what they do. And so I had to laugh, because a lot of it, I remember having to deal with that myself. Like, for example, people like myself are kind of shy away from materialism. We show an indifference towards materialism, okay? Like maybe in our early years, we care about it because we're trying to make sure that we look like everybody else, so that no one will basically pound our faces in or whatever. But then as you get older, you don't care about those things anymore, and you develop your own personality. So if you don't have big screen TVs or electronic items in your house, people look at you like, well, what's wrong with you? Don't you get with the times? And that goes with, all other fads and things that relate to fashion or whatever. Some people get, my family obviously gets upset because I don't know who, okay, I'm just pulling his name out, okay, but I remember somebody getting angry back in the late 90s, and I'm sure it had something to do with my family, because I didn't really know who Eminem was, okay? By the way, I know who he is now, okay? But I'm just saying is, because you are content in your world, because you know what you like, you're very confident and comfortable with the things that you do, and they feel as though, well, you have to be like everybody else. You need to be like everybody else. So they'll jam shit down your throat that you can't possibly relate to, and it's not a good idea to do that, right? So, and that's one situation. That's on the family level, okay? And then, on social levels, many people look at you the same way. So it's kind of like, well, how come you don't, like the hot look issue? I don't remember, over at Flourishing Fart, they were constantly talking about hot look. Because, for me, back then, okay, that was a really crappy office anyway. So, there was dogs running around and stuff like that. So sometimes I just wore jeans. And every once in a while, if I felt a little bit more of a perky mood, I might wear something nice. But kind of thinking back, it's like, why? Because it was kind of filthy in there. But still, it's because this is who I am. Okay, just accept it. And so a lot of people have a hard time accepting people who are like myself and other people for whatever reasons. And so they become abusive, just like the people at Flourishing Part, just like my family, just like and then like when it relates to things like, I know people are probably like, well, hurry, you need to get married. I'm sure you could find somebody. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, now I am 46 years old. I am an established person in my behavior patterns. I am who I am, okay? And the older a person gets, the less likely it is that they're going to change their behavior and their characteristics, okay? I remember there was a psychology lesson that said that people are generally molded into who they are at the age of 17. I would say yes and no, okay? Like, I think you pretty much know what you like. But as far as how you formulate that into your personality, it's not completely well molded. But still, I'm way older than 17, obviously, and I've been through my 20s, my 30s, and now I'm in my mid 40s. Okay, and so I'm set in my ways. Okay, and so if somebody was to be my age or older, they are definitely set in their ways. Okay, so for me to merge with just carelessly, foolishly, blindly merge with somebody else, that is just that's abuse waiting to happen. Because oftentimes people get married for the wrong reasons, and I think a lot of people, if like, for example, if my sister wanted to connect me with somebody, they might be liking me for the wrong reasons. They may not know who my personality is, or they might think, well, she's kind of cool, but they don't know what it's like to live with me. And I'm the kind of person, I shut down a lot, meaning, I don't just shut down if I'm in a bad mood. I shut down even in good moods because I'm autonomous. I have been conditioned to be that way. Now, because when you're younger and you don't really have like any real true friends, you start becoming more self-sufficient. You become more comfortable with who you are, and I'm shaped and molded in that way. Like, I prefer doing most things by myself. Now, don't get me wrong, when it comes to certain things that have to be carried out, I like working with teams, okay? Like, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy work. That kind of that sort of desire can be worked out and played out at work, okay? But as far as like my everyday living is just, I'm comfortable by myself. That's unfathomable for a lot of people, okay? And that right there creates aggression. I believe some of this harassment is based on that aggression right there. That's abuse, okay? So, like, because they want me to get it together, and maybe my sister found somebody that she wants me to be with. Okay, I'm just making this up because I don't know. Okay, but what if she, there was somebody that, or maybe it was Steve Wiles. I don't know. Who knows? Okay, I'm just pulling crap out of my head. Okay, but let's just say, for example, some guy, some eligible bachelor or whatever, was interested in me or whatever, or there was a rumor circulating that they were interested in me, or people were just playing matchmaking. Okay, and they're like, oh, well, let's put these people together, right? Okay, I am who I am, and these people are who they are, and to merge together at this age, to me, would be very stressful, extremely stressful, and it's just something I don't want. Okay, now if I did, I would have to spend a long period of time, at least have a courtship. Isn't that funny to use that word? A courtship of at least maybe a year to 2 years to get to know that person, because I don't want to walk into something that's going to be a disaster. Okay, so I think a lot of people are just kind of like, thinking, what's the word for it? They're thinking with their heart sometimes, and but I think with my head. Okay, there was a time when I was younger, like you look at certain guys and you just, because they're so beautiful in appearance or whatever, you think with your heart, like, man, he's so beautiful. But that's romance, and romance has its moments, but it's not something that's built on solid foundation. So oftentimes people like myself get abused in relationships because we are who we are. Maybe they want to go out and go boating or something, and you're having a day where you need to just sit in a corner and zone out and think about your issues. And I'm not comfortable doing anything other than that. So I understand my limitations, and so I understand what I can do and I can't do. And my family, and I'm sure other people who are around me, have always just wanted me to snap into what they want me to be. And that, to me, is Neanderthal thinking, okay? Because it doesn't work that way. Everybody is a unique individual, and they have their limitations. And when it comes to relationships, I have my limitations. Now, another form of abuse that I can deal with, that I've dealt with in the past, is dealing with people of other races, okay? Now, that's not to say that I can't be friends with white people, okay? But, because white people don't fully understand, differences, or they have preconceived ideas, it's better for me to be careful about, socializing with white people, because just by the very nature of who they are, and then the nature of who I am, it becomes a problem, because they sometimes want to force mold you into a stereotypical image that's not who you are, okay? And at the same time, I understand why they believe that, but it's based on preconceived ideas, and it gets to be very boring for me. And then I've noticed a lot of times white people have become aggressive in their behavior. So that's a form of abuse. So people like me, in my social interactions, I have to be very careful. So at work, it's totally feasible to get along with people, because that's what professionalism is, okay? When you're thinking about in terms of being professional, you're basically stating an instruction. You're getting along based on what's relating to work, okay? If you pick up a friend or some sort of develop a relationship, then great, okay? But that's not to be expected, okay? But you're more instructional. You're giving out, directions, or you're taking in directions, or whatever. There's a two-way street there. So it's a line of communication, so people get along well that way. If, of course, a company's managed well, okay, and you don't have a fucking weird family, creating problems in the background. So, I'm fully aware of my experiences and what to expect when it comes to social interactions. Even, meeting girlfriends, it can be, and I'm talking black girlfriends, okay? Black women, black people sometimes get angry at me because I don't relate to some of the things that they were raised with, okay? And because I do things that they kind of don't understand, okay? And to me, it's like, well, I would prefer to have, a black girlfriend, okay? And that's just because, people tend to feel more comfortable with their own kind, okay? But still, there are certain things about other black people that makes it so that I can't relate, and they can't relate to me, because I kind of branch out when it comes to cultural interests and whatnot, okay? So there could still be abuse there, because they might be, because people get aggressive if you don't see things their way, 100%, which is selfish on their part, and that's what a lot of people have a hard time dealing with. They have a hard time dealing with humility. They have a hard time dealing with the fact that you don't have the right to impose your beliefs on other people. And that goes for black, white, men, potential partners, family members, whatever, okay? People have the right to be who they are, and people need to understand that you do not cross those boundaries. And so I'm very reserved in that way, and most people have a hard time dealing with that, okay? So that's my issue, okay? So I'm not just trying to, I don't go out of my way just to be different, okay? Because really, nobody wants to be in a situation like this, okay? Nobody likes being treated like shit, but at the same time, I know my limitations, and by doing things, blindly, or just getting hitched up and getting married, or associating with certain people, I'm walking into abuse. I have to use discernment, okay? So my decisions are based on solid foundations. It's not just me, being stubborn or whatever. It's solid foundation. It's positive. It's the right way to think, okay? So I'm making those decisions based on my previous experience, based on fact. And what I mean by fact is not just my previous experience, based on things that I've read in psychology, and then also reading other people's experiences, or hearing their other experiences. And guess what? There's a consistent pattern there, okay? So for other people who are outside and participating in harassment and abuse, you need to understand, even if you think it's for somebody's own good, you're not that person. You're not that person, okay? You haven't walked in their shoes. You haven't dealt with their experiences. You don't know them. So what might be ideal to you might be a goddamn nightmare to that person, okay? And that's basically what I'm saying. So I'm making the wise decisions for myself. I know what I've dealt with. I know what I want in life, and I know what I don't want in life, okay? I can recognize abuse, and I've been dealing with a lot of it lately, okay? So I try to, make the best decisions. So my best choice is to get out on my own, okay? And then, get back to work, start feeling better, and then slowly but surely, I'll meet people, and then I'll make my decisions then, But to sit here and be so aggressive, and it's abuse. It's abuse. The farmer's abusive. Choosing my job, that's abuse. My family's abusive. That's abuse. I mean, going into these job interviews or people putting out job ads that they have no intentions of actually, offering a position. That's abuse, okay? And all I'm trying to do is live, okay? I don't need any more bullshit or people co-signing. So I made the right decision by disowning my family. I made the right decision by cutting off everybody who's ever shown me those sort of extreme signs of abuse. And some people are like, well, can't you just forgive and move on? The only way I can forgive and move on with something this severe is to forget them, to never look at them again, to not call them to memory, okay? Because I have my limitations, and they've actually hit the limit, okay? So I'm making the best decision for me, and people should be able to respect that. So I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.